Well, we got some brand new Japanese wrestling promotion events that we gotta review. Four events, three promotions. All of that will be reviewed and discussed on this episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling from AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, matches, wrestlers, and championships. I'm your host, J Rod here. Now, as you know, I already reviewed Wrestle Kingdom 15 on the previous episode because I wanted to not fall behind right now. But this time, I did not fall behind. I'm catching up just a little bit. As you know, I mentioned I only got four events and three different promotions. Two of them come from All Japan Pro Wrestling for New Year's Wars, the other from DDT Pro Wrestling New Year's Gift Special, and of course, the latest New Japan Pro Wrestling event after Wrestle Kingdom 15 on the that one is New Year's Dash, which is very awesome to watch. So, let's review right now with day one of All Japan Pro Wrestling. All right, so if you guys should know, I'm reviewing All Japan Pro Wrestling with their latest event, New Year's War. This is 2 days event. So now, if you guys don't know who All Japan Pro Wrestling is, let me give you a bit history. As you know, New Japan Pro Wrestling has been around since 1972, but it turns out they are not the only ones around. We have All Japan Pro Wrestling. They have their own way of being around. There've been rivals back and forth over time, but they recently have been enjoying what they have for their own events, and I have witnessed at least maybe once or two of them. But this one, New Year's War, is a 2 day event, so let's review from start to finish. Now, keep in mind, a lot of these wrestlers I do not recognize, but we'll see how that goes. First match is a tag team match with uh, Atsuki Ayogi teaming up with Ryzen Hayato, taking on Purple Haze, Azanagi, and someone who I know, Shigehito Iri. Now, this is Shigehito Iri. I mentioned him on countless times. He's appeared on many promotions over time, from DDT Pro Wrestling, even some of the promotions out of the UK, the States. But him being in All Japan Pro Wrestling is kind of interesting to see. I didn't know he was part of Purple Haze until I saw his name on the card. I'm like, whoa, crap. But it was a pretty good match. You know, I've seen the first time I heard of Shigehito, I mentioned this, I saw him on Sammy Guevara's vlogs when he was doing his second tour with DDT. But the match was good. I liked it. It was a very good tag team match. But however, it's always the stable factions that win, and Purple Haze is one of them. Now, Purple Haze is not a tag team; it's a four-man stable faction. I'll get to the other two in a little while or so. So the next match, it's a eight-man tag team match. We have Ryuji Shikara, Takayuki Aoike, and someone you may have known from WWE, Yoshitatsu, who's also the um, Gorari Gaora TV champion. They were taking on against Ryuki Honda, Osamu Nishimura, Black Mensore, and Takao Omari. Now, like I said, I don't recognize a lot of these guys except for Yoshitatsu. So it was a very interesting match to see. As you know, I've always been a fan of Yoshitatsu. The match was pretty interesting. As you know, there's a lot of difference. Now, this is not a stable faction type of match as you normally would see, but this time it wasn't that. Um, Pretty interesting dynamics how they're doing, especially with this guy named Black Man. Sorry, I don't. He has this interesting mask that I enjoyed seeing, but however, he didn't pick up the victory. It was his teammate. It was in fact Yoshitatsu as always, and he's always impressive to watch. So he and his team won. Next match is a tag team match. We got Terrible, consistent of Kuma, Arashi, and Koji Doi, facing off against members of Evolution, Dan Tamura, and Hikaru Sato. Now, watching this, it showed a different type of teams I never imagined. Now, this team, Infant's Terrible, that's a weird name, you know? I don't know why would anybody name that, but they were very impressive, very heavy hitters. I did not expect it a lot, but and as for Evolution, they're pretty good, solid too. They are very not heavy hitters, but more of they hit hard, but a little bit more lighter than they normally are. But like I said, it's also a good match. I liked it as well. But however, it's Terrible that won this match. Now the next match is a battle royal. Now they used everybody who was in that roster for that night. I'm not gonna go through all of them. They had some interesting ways how they were pinning everyone. If you were putting someone in submission, they'll pin you. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, that is bizarre. And the way that everybody covers one person, they had to cover the next. So they're like ganging up. So in this particular battle royal is mostly either you eliminate someone either by pinfall, submission, or over the top. So, but however, the match ended with a wrestler I have seen before, but not in All Japan. It was down in Dragon Gate. His name is the Bodyguard. Now, the first time I saw this guy, the Bodyguard, he was impressive. But seeing him in All Japan, he was doing something I did not know. He was like singing to rock music or something. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, wow. I did not see that one coming. But, however, he won the match. The Bodyguard won the match. I don't know how that happened, but he's very impressive. Now, the next match is another tag team match. We got this team. I don't know why they have this name. They call themselves the Astronauts, consistent of Fuminori Abe and Tayaki Nomura, taking on Ikoru no Ikoru Midaka. I hate pronouncing Japanese names, and Koji Iwamoto. Like I said, I'm not familiarized with these guys, but I'll tell you anyway, the Astronauts won the match. Now, the next match, this one is a very interesting one. It's between Masato Tanaka and Zeus. Now, Zeus, I've heard his name on countless time when I'm hearing All Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, I wasn't much into it until recently, this like late last year. But however, he's impressive. He was the Triple Crown champion until he lost the title to Kento Miyahara. But his opponent, Masato Tanaka, oh my god, he is the very first ever and the longest reigning never openweight champion. Yeah, you heard that word before. Never openweight champion. It's the same title that New Japan has. He was the very first one and the longest reigning champion. So I loved how this one is. Now, I don't know if Masato Tanaka is in fact a full-time member of All Japan or he's just a freelancer going from promotion to promotion. But seeing him was great. It was a great match seeing both Masato Tanaka and Zeus facing off. Uh, Two very strong heavy hitters. But however, there has to be a winner, and that winner was none other than Tanaka. But of course, at the end of the match, Zeus and Tanaka showed respect with each other. It was a great match. I loved it. Now, the main event was for the AGPW World Tag Team titles. First team, Yuma Ayo, Aoyagi teaming up with the former Triple Crown champion Kento Hiyahara, facing off against Violent Giants Suji Ishikawa, and of course he's the current Triple Crown champion Suwama. So Suwama is a double champion. Now this match was unbelievably good. Now you look at Kento, he is far more experienced, but Yuma is the rookie who's trying to prove himself. That's what I like about this match. But they're facing against huge dudes who they'll pound you down to the mat as hard as they can. But it did not stop them to fulfilling what they wanted to do, is to obtain these titles. And eventually the person who I did not expect it would pick up the pin was Yuma himself. And it was surprising. I would have expected Kento, but no, it was Yuma who picked up the victory. It's great to see that. I love it. I think I'm going to keep watching if there is more of All Japan Pro Wrestling where I'm watching from this link. So I'd say let's end it right here and move on to day 2 of New Year's War, day 2. Okay, so we're in day 2 of All Japan Pro Wrestling's New Year Wars. So the opening match is the Bodyguard, once again, singing to whatever music, teaming up with Akira Francisco, taking on against a masked wrestler. I don't know why he calls himself this name, Alejandro. And of course, his tag team partner, Ryuki Honda. Now, don't get me wrong, the Bodyguard, he is a huge dude, but teaming up with Akira Francisco made it a lot more better. But however, I can tell you, for me watching the Bodyguard, there's only one way it's gonna win. Bodyguard and Akira Francisco won that match. I was like, I kind of figured it would go that way because people were always clapping along to the Bodyguard when he sings. Next match, once again, Purple Haze, consistent of Shikahiro Airi and another member, Utamaro, taking on against Black Mansori and Takao Omari. Now, I've always been impressed with what's his name again? Shigehiro, and I always love how he works. He's a very powerful dude and a very athletic. He knows how to do tope suicida well. So I can tell you right now, watching him being part of Purple Haze gives him the edge. Don't get me wrong, the other team did well too, but the match goes to Purple Haze, as always. Next match, we got a 6-man tag team match. We have Tajiri teaming up with Jin, the consistent of Jake Lee and Koji Iwamoto, taking on against Evolution Dan, Tamura, um, Hikaru Sato, and of course, the one half of the former AJPW World Tag Team Champion, Shingo Suji Ishikawa. Now, I was impressed how this one was going to go. A, because Tajiri was there teaming up with, um, what's their name? With Jin. I heard Jake Lee on various occasions, his name all over the place. But seeing also Ishikawa being in the opposite team, there were moments where Tajiri almost was being blasted. But however, it did not stop him. But you do see how he's very cohesive with the other members, with Jin, with Jake Lee, and of course Koji. Great match. So Tajiri and Jin actually won the match. Next match is another 6-man tag team match. We have Atsuki Aoyagi, Ryzen Hayato, and of course Kento Miyahara, facing off against Infants Terrible, Shotaro Ishoni, Kuma Ashira, and Yasuke Kodama. Now, as you know, I have noticed prior when Infants Terrible were coming out, Shotaro was doing this, that he wants the title. He seems like he wants a title shot against Suwama for the Triple Crown Championship. Now, everything seems well for this match, was going great, but except Kento did not like how, what's his name? Uh, Atsuki tagged himself in without, thinking great. Kento seems like he had everything under his control, but however, he's trying to tell him not to tag in when he thinks is appropriate. If Kento had everything under hand, but someone had to undermine him. But however, because of that, Atsuki actually nearly cost the match, allowing for Infinite's Terrible to win. Now Kento doesn't blame him for his actions, but he blames him for being arrogant. And he wasn't having it, so he just took off. The next match is a championship match for the All Asian Tag Team Championship between Infants Terrible, Hokado Omari, and Koji Doi, taking on Purple Haze, um, Zanagi, and Zeus. Now, there has been frictions between these two teams over a while. As you know, Infinite's Terrible haven't been attacking Zanagi for a while, removing his mask. But apparently, he made a bet with what's his name, with Koji Doi, that if he loses, he has to wear the mask and join Purple Haze. So that was the stipulation. But every moment you see in this match where the Purple Haze are determined to win the match in order to have Doi to join their ranks, it was desperation out of his part to ensure he doesn't lose. But however, he did lose. But now he had an honored deal that he was going to join Purple Haze. But apparently, he wasn't having it, so he fought his way out by giving them low blows. But all of a sudden, here comes the remaining members of Purple Haze to help out. So, even though they realized they couldn't get the fifth member they wanted, it would be just those four for the time being. Next match, this one is for the Gaora TV Championship in a tables and ladders match between Jun Kasai and Yoshitatsu. Now, these two guys have confronted each other on a previous occasion. Uh, Kasai actually tried to cut him with a knife. So this one is an any goes match. There were moments that Kasai, I have witnessed him. He's like a hardcore wrestler type. Now, if you guys don't know this, some of the hardcore wrestling stuff came from Japan. And this guy seems like I saw the scars all over his body. But uh, they were using all kinds of weapons, the ladders, the chairs, and of course the tables, as any type of match we've seen over the years, even especially with WWE. But however, it's always the guy who has the more experience in these type of matches. That there was a title change. What's his name again? Jun Kasai actually won the title. Now, however, while he was giving his little promo, even though I don't understand what he's saying, there is no English commentary with All Japan Pro Wrestling. He was interrupted by Black Menzare. So now I don't know what it was all about, but I can assume the Black Mensori wants a shot of that title. And of course, I'm assuming that what's his name, Kasai actually would accept it. So the next match is the main event. Is the Triple Crown Championship. Yuma Aoyagi taking on the current champ Suwama. This match was amazing. Now you look at Yuma, who is a young wrestler making a name for himself. Not only that, the previous event, he became one half of the AJPW World Tag Team Champions with Kento Miyahara. This match was so good. I love everything. Now Yuma was doing everything in his power to ensure he picked up the victory, but a guy like Suwama would not give in to losing to a guy like him, especially if he's a rookie. But it was great. But however, it's always guys like Suwama who actually won the match. He was so powerful. But however, in post match, he called out Shotaro. His name Shotaro. Now, like again, there was no commentary, but I'm assuming Suwama is going to give him a title shot since he's been making his shot, giving like the championship gesture. So, like I said again, there was no English commentary, but that's my assumption. So I think we're all done with the All Japan Pro Wrestling stuff. So let's move on with the most comedic and interesting promotion in Japan, DDT Pro Wrestling. Okay, so I have mentioned DDT Pro Wrestling on various occasions. They're a bit of a comedic act, very interesting. They have many of their um, co-ed with the Yoshi promotion involved in their shows on once in a while. So let's go from start to finish. First match was a singles competition between Hideki Okatani versus Keigo Nakamura. Now I have seen Keigo Nakamura on maybe a few occasions with DDT. He seems like that. How do I say? That geek that's trying to make the wrestling team in order to impress the girls, but that's who he was. But he has this aggressive side that I have witnessed on certain times. Like he's determined to win at any cost. And frankly, that's exactly what he did in this particular match. Now, Hideki, he did a good job too as well. So he even tried to kick out many times over, but he could not take on Keigo Nakamura as much as he could have. So Keigo won this particular match. Now, this next match, I like to say it's a very bit comedic. We got Chon Shuru versus Antonio Honda. Much of this match, whenever I see Antonio Honda, he just takes a pause and starts talking. Now, he uses his talk to ensure he finds a way to win the match. Now, this is nothing similar to what Toru Yano would do in order to sneak his way to win a match. So basically, when he starts talking, there's a pause. You don't know how long it's going to go. And that's when he strikes. So he tried to do this with Chon, but it did not work this time. But however, he did not let Chon try to pick up the victory, and he actually took him out once and for all with his signature move, like something like this, or I don't know, but I've seen it before. The next match is a six-man tag team match. We have Toi Kojima, Tomomitsu Matsunaga, and Toru Owashi taking off two-thirds of Eruption, Saki Akia, and Yukio Sakaguchi, teaming with Gora uh, Ihashi. Now, I never heard of this guy, Gora Ihashi, before, but man, the dude is interesting. He's a much bigger dude, like overweight, but somehow he's able to do a backflip. I'm like, what the hell? I don't see that very often. But however, from seeing him with Eruption, I'm kind of thinking, okay, why do I get the feeling he's going to win this match with Eruption? Turns out I was right. He pulled up the victory as any other wrestler he could have. I mean, he's a huge dude, but he had issues with member from one of these two guys with Matsunaga or Owashi, but he actually pinned Toi Kojima in order to win the match. Now, the next match, we have another six-man tag team match. We have Mitsuki Watse Makoto Oishi and Yukio Naya facing off members of Damnation, Nobuhito Shimatari, Hiroshi Yamato, and Mad Polly. Now, as you know, Damnation is one of the most heelish groups within the promotion itself. There's always a factor where what's his name? Nobuhito always prods out the Damnation sign in order to win, and that's what he does. He brings a sign. He likes to clobber someone, but this time it didn't go as well. It was actually Mad Polly who picked up the victory. Next match, we have a 3-on-1 match. We have Shinya Aoki, then Shoku Dino, and Super Sasadango Machine taking on against Sanshiro Tagagi. So basically, Sanshiro Tagagi was on his own, facing off against three people he has known throughout the years. But however, instead of trying to make him pin, they were torturing him with many things, including with Dino putting his pants down. Yeah, you heard me, bro. He put his pants down. So it was disgusting, but so funny. But however, it was in fact the person who made the pin was in Shinya Aoki. So he picked up the victory, surprisingly. So, but I know Tagagi felt great shame losing to like that. He thought he was tough. If you guys don't know this, he is the Japanese parody version of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now the next match is a 8-man tag team match. We have uh, Mao, Konosuke Takeshita, Shunma Ka, Katsumata, and Yuki Inoue taking on against um, the champions of the KOD 6-man tag team champions, Akito, Katsuki Hara, and Shota. And their surprise fourth member is Kaisuke Ishii. Now, you can assume that the champions are the ones who win always, but however, it did not go exactly like that. It was a good match. I enjoyed it. It was unbelievably amazing because the thing is, the champions are determined to prove they are the best as the best team ever. But it wasn't enough when apparently it was what's his name? Um, Takeshita that picked up the victory on this one. So we don't know if these guys will pick up another or will take up an opportunity for the KOD 6-man tag team championships. Now the final main event is a 6-man tag team match with Chris Brooks, Kasusada Higochi from Eruption, and Harashima taking on the other members of Damnation, Tetsuya Endo, Soma Takoa, and the newest member, Yuji Hino. Now, this match seems like it was in the favor of Damnation, but however, you cannot deny the power of Higuchi, who is also a powerhouse, but his powerhouse wasn't enough to take on what's his name, Soma Takao, who's also an accomplished striker. It's kind of interesting how that goes. So Damnation picked up the victory, and there was no interference in this particular match whatsoever. But however, I don't know who was this guy who comes out of nowhere. He was earlier in the event. He was looking for Yuji Hino. So they actually ended up doing an arm wrestling match in the ring. And Yuji Hino won, and I don't know what they were saying. I'm assuming that whoever this guy is setting up himself to be in a match against Yuji Hino. So I don't know when that will be, but it will be interesting to see when that happens. So I think that's it right now with DDT. So let's move on to New Japan Pro Wrestling. All right, so we're ending this episode doing the New Japan Pro Wrestling New Year's Dash, which always happens right after Wrestle Kingdom. First match of the night is the Young Lion Gabriel Kidd facing off against veteran Blue Justice himself, Yuji Nagata. Now, Gabriel Kidd impressed me a little bit. Now, as you know, as a Young Lion, you're supposed to do limited things when you're wrestling. But however, he brought in a little bit of the British style wrestling into this match. Now, I don't know if they decided to give him a little leeway or he is close in graduating with the New Japan dojo. But he put great effort, and I'm assuming Yuji Nagata was impressed by him because he's the one guy who tests the young lions. But Yuji Nagata always wins when he faces the young lions, but I have to say Gabriel Kidd really put a good effort. So hopefully we get to see him down the line in the future if he graduates. Next match we have a tag team match. We have Suzuki-gun members Minoru Suzuki teaming up with Doiki taking on Yuya Uemura and Tiger Mask. Now we haven't seen Minoru Suzuki for quite a while. I don't know what he's planning on or what he's trying to do, but however, Yuya Uemura is not afraid of him. He tries to confront the guy on many occasions. But come on, kid. Don't get in the face of Minoru Suzuki. He will put you in a sleeper hold or put you in a gotch style power driver. But he was the one who's trying to be all strong and tough. So that led to Minoru Suzuki putting him in a sleeper hold and a gotch pile driver, allowing him to win the match. The next match is a six-man tag team match. We have the Empire, Jeff Cobb, Great-O-Khan, and Will Ospreay, along with B. Priestley, taking on another young lion, Yota Tsuji, Hiroyoshi Tenzan, and Satoshi Kojima. Now, we all expected after all three of these men from the Empire were the ones that lost all their matches, but however, we just saw a different aggressiveness with the Empire. However, Great-O-Khan was no match, but at the same time, we just saw Will Ospreay picked up giving the helping hand when he put the Oz cutter on Yota Tsuji and allowing for Great-O-Khan to pick up the match. But post match, they actually attacked Tenzan and left him for dead or something like that. But Ospreay put out a promo saying that he refuses to accept what people are saying because they're looking at him and the Empire saying they're the weak. They lost 3 of their matches, but they decided they're not going to let that stand. All this and that they will take over the New Japan Pro Wrestling entire company. But the real question, are we going to see them expand more? We don't know. But I'm looking forward to it. Now, the next match here is somewhat my favorite because there's tensions arising between factions between Bullet Club and Suzuki-gun. The first team to come out is Suzuki-gun members Taichi, Zack Sabre Jr., the Dangerous Takers, along with the current IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions Desperado and Yoshinobu Kanemaru, taking on against Bullet Club members Taiji Shimuri, El Fantasmo, Tongaloa, and of course Tamatanga, who in fact are the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team title. Now these guys are going back. Zack Sabre Jr. is still pissed off for what happened at Wrestle Kingdom, but both teams had insurance policy. They brought in Doiki to ensure that Yado doesn't get involved in their business, and Yado was there too. You can see not only the action coming in the ring, but on this one, you can see Yado getting in the face of Doiki. So, what's interesting is Taichi hasn't forgotten what happened the last time. They used the iron fingers that belonged to Iska, and of course, Tama took it with him. And they assumed that he had it with them, but no, he did not. But however, the match ended with a very interesting ending. It was in fact El Fantasma the super kicked Kanemaru his lights out, pinning him, but also at the same time making a message saying, I pin you, Kanemaru. Me and Taichi are coming for your titles. So it appears we may have challengers for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships. So, if you guys don't know this, those who are new to the channel, you're saying, but why they have to go get a title shot once they pin them? Easy. If you pin a champion, there isn't automatically you get a title shot. It doesn't mean you have to fight number one contendership unless if that's given to the opportunity. So we may see Taiji Ishimori and El Fantasma coming for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles. Next match, we have more members of the Bullet Club. Evil, Yujiro Takahashi, Chase Owens, Balak Fale, and Jay White taking on against Chaos members Toru Yano, Yoshihashi, Tomohiro Ishii, Hiroki Goto, and Okada. Now, as you know, Jay White is not in a happy mood. What happened is he could not beat Kota Ibushi. He did state it. He's leaving New Japan. So he was obligated to be on this one. But however, there's still some mixed feelings after what happened also in Wrestle Kingdom. I'm talking about Fale and Toru Yano. Yes. You remember what happened at the KOPW provisional match they had. So, they still had their feud. But however, the person who picked up the victory in this match was Tomohiro Ishii. So basically, right now, Bullet Club are dealing a funk, especially mostly coming from Jay White. He thought his destiny was coming, but it did not. So Chaos won the match, all thanks to Ishii. Now let's get to the main event. We have LIJ members Bushi, Hiromu Takahashi, Naito, and Shingo Takagi. Leading them is very unusual, was Sanada, taking on Sho, Rocky Romero, Master Wato, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Kota Ibushi. Now, in this match, it appears that many members of LIJ seems like they have plans they want to do with their opponents. As you know already, Sanada is the first challenger to take on Kota Ibushi. It appears the show wants a piece of Hiromu Takahashi. He wants the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. But the match was good in every way to tell the stories that everyone wants to do something. But who picked up the victory? The very unusual person, Bushi. He pinned Master Wato. Now, during the after the post match, Bushi said that he sees what's everybody doing. He sees that Shingo Takagi wants Hiroshi Tanahashi to challenge him for the Never Openweight Championship. We do know where Sanada is going. He's challenging Kota Ibushi for the IWGP Intercontinental and Heavyweight Championship. And we're seeing Hiromu may face off against Sho for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. But that leads Bushi and Naito what they're going to do. But Bushi made it clear he wants to challenge Master Wato. So the real question is, what's Naito going to do? Well, we just got to wait and see. So, hope you guys enjoy me doing these episodes, reviewing Japanese wrestling for all of you guys. So, for now, I must bid all of you guys adieu. The next episode will be the Wednesday Night War, and then more Japanese wrestling, and of course some other wrestling promotions that I haven't reviewed for this week, but I will review them as soon as possible. So, I must bid all of you adieu. Once again, goodbye, mwah, and have a nice day. Bang!